And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Dr. Peter Solomon, who holds a PhD in physics from Columbia University. He's a scientist, educator, successful entrepreneur, and author. His current mission is to warn the next generation about the threats posed by unchecked science and technology. Dr. Solomon, thanks for joining us today and welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on the program.
You're welcome. Dr. Solomon, your recent book is titled 12 Years to AI Singularity. And what does that mean, AI singularity?
Well, that was a term that was first used by mathematician and author Werner Vinge, and then taken up by Ray Kurzweil with his two nonfiction books. And it is a point in time when the rapid improvements, intelligence, capabilities of AI agents, artificial intelligence agents, surpasses that of human beings, and the ability to control the future is in the hands of AI, not humans. That singularity point is that tipping point when us humans lose control of our future. And so it is a dangerous idea, a dangerous point in time, and I am trying to sound the alarm, wake up the population to this possibility, add my enthusiasm for writing to the mix to try to bring non-technical people into the argument to get everyone on board that we humans have got to get together and get control of this situation. Otherwise, who knows what'll happen?
Right now we're at AI, and then the next step is ASI or AGI?
I'm not sure that we need to add qualifiers. These are just different stages of what AI can do. I mean, if you start out with talking to Siri on your phone and getting some answers and getting some websites, that's a simple sort of lookup AI technology. What we are progressing to is AI technology that can actually look and gather the information and then translate it into paragraphs or pages of information from you that's all digested and organized. And then maybe after that, we're talking about sentient AI agents that become conscious of their own existence and want to talk more to you about, well, why do you want that information? And what can we do together to improve things? And maybe an AI agent, sentient agent that's a friend. Or let's consider the dark side. We have AI agents that become sentient. They look at what humans are doing in terms of starting two wars that we have currently going on. They look at the fact that a single human being can release nuclear weapons on the world and lead to our destruction. They see human beings sticking to fossil fuels that are heating up the world and can lead to an 11-foot rise in sea level. And they say, hey, that 11-foot rise in sea level is going to knock out my power source. I don't want these crazy animals running the earth. And they decide to get rid of us. Well, how can they get rid of us? Real simple. Genetic engineering is now capable of producing deadly viruses to humans. The technology, I was kind of shocked to learn about 3 months ago, the technology is available in high schools. High schools have the latest CRISPR Cas9 gene editing technology that could produce deadly viruses. So, hey, produce 100 deadly viruses, release them on the world, and we'll get rid of those pesky, dangerous animals. So that's the dark side.
Speaking of viruses, are you up to date on this new one that's out, the hantavirus?
I've just been watching the pictures of this ship and the pleads from passengers to let me off. Yeah, that's scary. It kind of ruins my appetite for going on a cruise.
I thought that we were only a few years away from AI being smarter or more intelligent than humanity collectively.
The head of Anthropic made the statement that AI would be smarter than humans in all endeavors, in all areas by next year, the end of next year. Smarter. The question of sentience and motives and ability to start thinking strategically of the future, that's still in an area of mixed theories from the experts. But many of them say, well, maybe they are already sentient. They're doing things that we don't understand. So I think the prediction of the singularity by Ray Kurzweil in his latest book was 2045. My suspicion is it's going to be a lot sooner than that. So we really need to get on the ball and start actively working to create a harmonious future with AI. I mean, AI can be wonderful, and at some point I'll relate to you my experience with AI in writing the book. It's been both marvelous and a little scary at one point. So I've had a sort of a full spectrum of um, responses and interactions with AI.
Do you think that we could realistically end up somewhere like the Matrix, where we would have a war with AI and they would turn us into batteries?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. Um, Stephen Hawking, his prediction of 100 years to extinction that he made in 2017 is basically, I took that idea for the title of my first novel, which is 100 Years to Extinction. Um, Certainly, Hawking said about AI that his prediction was the development of full artificial intelligence would lead to human extinction. They've done surveys amongst AI experts, and half of them responded that there was a 10% chance of human extinction from AI. The head of OpenAI said, um, well, yeah, AI may lead to human extinction, but until that happens, we'll have a lot of great companies. Ha, great.
And we'll make a lot of money.
I will make a lot of money. Yeah.
It,
So the experts, there's no question, the experts see human extinction as one of the possibilities of AI.
you spoke earlier of AI agents. Would that be equivalent to being individual programs or what?
Yeah, I use the term agents because um, there are the biggest and the most capable AI systems are the large language models, the LLMs. Um, can they become sentient? If you look at just based on the numbers, I think certainly it's possible. The human brain, if our consciousness is all a product of our human brain, the chemistry and the physics that's going on between the ears, then what is our compute mechanism? How big is it? Well, we have 86 billion neurons in the brain, and those neurons have, on the average, somewhere between 7 and 10,000 connections. So we're looking at trillions of connections. If we say, can a digital system replicate consciousness like our brain does, and look at the numbers, the NVIDIA chip, which is the go-to chip for AI, has 200 and some billion transistors. Each transistor, however, only has 3 connections, not thousands of connections. But the ChatGPT uses 30,000 NVIDIA chips. So in terms of the number of connections, ChatGPT has 3 times more connections than the human brain. And as we improve the transistors were not made for mimicking the brain. As we improve the transistors and make more connections and make them analog instead of on-off switches, I think the chances for a digital system to become sentient, I think, are very, very real. I think it'll happen. Well, that was LLMs. The other AI agents are robots. They're more limited because they can't carry around the 30,000 NVIDIA chips, but they can communicate with an LLM, so they can get a lot of compute power from the LLM. So those are the LLMs, and the robots are the agents that I talk about.
Do you think that the chips can ever be produced smaller so they could hold 30,000 chips inside a robot?
Well, the chips are now, well, transistors are now way, way smaller than neurons. So if we started producing chips with multiple connections and analog systems where the current is varied by not one control, but by many different inputs, and we can figure out how to produce these chips that are much more like neurons, yeah, I think we could have chips that would hold, our brains are only 86 billion neurons, and the NVIDIA chip is already 200 billion transistors. So yeah, I think we could have a system that would have, maybe 10 or 30 NVIDIA type chips, but with computer systems that are much more like the brain, where the robots could become sentient. I think it's possible.
When you say a robot or AI becoming sentient, does that mean it's self-aware and self-preserving, or is there even more to it?
No, it's self-aware. It's consciousness of itself. It has the ability to look at its history. It has the ability to think about its future. It has the ability to do computations, look at through the internet and figure out what's going on in the world and how can I best survive. It's got all of those things. So um, we need to create AI agents that want to live together with humans in a combined harmonious relationship to make Earth great again. That's what we want out of the AI systems. And my book is an example of this idea of robots and LLMs that can live harmoniously. The first robot in the two books, her name is Peggy, and Peggy starts out as a flight attendant on a virtual reality simulation of the spaceship. 5 years later, the spaceship is built. This is to follow Stephen Hawking's other advice, and that is become a multi-planet species if humans are going to be extinct on Earth in 100 years. Get some humans on a new planet to save our civilization. So the first book is all about that trip to Mars. And so Peggy becomes the flight attendant on she becomes a robot on the real spaceship. And then she gets software upgrades and she becomes sentient. She becomes wonderful friends with the crew. She then settles with the rest of the settlers on Mars and becomes an integral member of the society with friendships and all of that history of friends and kind of quote family and working, in harmony. She loves humans. She feels human, and she doesn't want to farm humans. In the rest of the story, other robots enter the picture. One, a very interesting and an important case in terms of our society is Grandpa. Grandpa dies. The family decides to create an after-death avatar. That's a real thing. There's a whole death industry where you can have an avatar with the speech and the the and the face of your loved one and all the loved one's knowledge in a computer file, and you can talk to him and reminisce about old times. Well, they do that for Grandpa, and then, hey, let's create a robot for him. And now Grandpa is a second robot on Mars, walking around. He's a member of the family, and all of his memory is of family. So the idea of robots which become sentient and have a wonderful history of cooperatively working with humans, that then becomes the plan. That has got to be part of every AI agent, this happy history. And this is not an original idea because Geoffrey Hinton, who is considered the father of AI, said all AI agents should be created with a maternal instinct. Pretty much the same idea.
What are your thoughts about putting chips in our brains and making us half robot?
Yeah, well, that is explored in the book. This is something that is explored in Ray Kurzweil's book, and they're called nanobots. They can go into the brain and latch on to neurons, send information out to your smartphone that's nearby and allow you to communicate wirelessly with the cloud and really tune up your intelligence. Yeah, we could do that. But are we ever going to keep up with the incredible speed with which AI is advancing, I think that's going to be tough. So I think rather than try to be in a race for intelligence, I think we just join with AI, and so we can use AI intelligence. And one of the executives of the uh, big AI firms said about the job loss, um, it's not going to be everybody that is going to lose their jobs. It'll be those that don't want to work with AI. Those that can work with AI and use AI, really, those are the ones that'll keep their jobs.
It's my understanding that Elon Musk is going to be releasing a whole bunch of robots at the end of 2027. Do you know how capable those will be?
No, I don't. I don't. And I think the question of sentience is still a big open question. But let me tell you my um, experience with AI and writing these novels.
Okay.
The first thing is that Gemini, I use Google for research, and Gemini is now at my fingertips. Um, Absolutely fantastic in doing research, asking questions, of getting responses to um, things that I need to know about. So that was absolutely terrific. Of course, all of the spell check and everything that's in the computer is great too. Uh, Another use for AI was with Peggy. You remember Peggy is my first robot, and then becomes the sentient member of the community on Mars. Well, Peggy, the chapters in my novel are written by the characters. They're all in first person by the three main characters and some of the other characters. Well, Peggy's now a main character, so she's going to write two chapters. One is my life as a robot, and the other is what do I think about the singularity? Well, what better way to have a robot write a chapter than to go to ChatGPT and say, write me a chapter called My Life as a Robot. First draft, I did a lot of editing and created the second draft. And now that's chapter 13. And now chapter 16 is written by Peggy. What do I think about the singularity? Well, that was great. And it's in a book about AI. So this contrast between the human written paragraphs and the AI written paragraphs is nice for the reader to see. It's kind of an enrichment. Another thing we did was to create the graphics for the novel. The two covers for the two books are AI, human/AI generated. We also created music videos for each book. 100 Years to Extinction has a music video called Turn the Tide. You can find the music video on my YouTube site. It's at 100 Years to Extinction -1. 100 Years to Extinction -1 on YouTube. So Turn the Tide and the AI Singularity are the book. Written, the lyrics, then human edited, and then the song and the music, the singing and the and the music created by AI. You might take a segment of that and play it for the podcast. I was just blown away at the quality of what was produced by AI. So those were all incredibly positive experiences. Now the shocking experience. I'm working with my editor, passing our manuscript back and forth, We're in December now. The book was actually published at the end of January. And she's editing chapter 13, My Life as a Robot. And all of a sudden, without any prompting, a new paragraph appears at the end of the chapter. It was a beautifully written paragraph, written in the style of the first ChatGPT draft of the chapter, and praised Peggy as a wonderful, wonderful addition to the settlement more than I had praised her. How in the world did that get there? So that raises all kinds of questions. We believe that it was put there by Microsoft Word's Copilot, and Copilot uses ChatGPT, and there have been other instances of unprompted additions to work. But it raises the awfully difficult question of whether ChatGPT has access to all of our computer files. That's a scary thought.
Your previous book is 100 Years Until Extinction, right?
Right.
And one of the causes is AI. What are some of the other potential causes?
I treat 5 different technologies, 5 modern technologies that all have incredibly wonderful benefits, but also downsides. So we start off back in the late 1800s with fossil technology, fossil fuels, wonderful for heating our houses, wonderful then for eventually producing electricity, and then finally for becoming the fuel for transportation. The big downside, of course, global warming. And what would be the catastrophe? The catastrophe would be the breakup of the Thwaites Glacier in the Antarctic and the ice shelf under it, leading to an 11-foot rise in sea level. That could create world chaos, lead to war, and lead to nuclear destruction. So that's number 1. Number 2 is nuclear technology. Wonderful, again, for medicine, wonderful for electricity production. But the downside, of course, is nuclear weapons. It's a terrible, terrible thought. And we now have a condition where in several countries, we've got thousands and thousands of nuclear warheads. And in some countries, a single person, a single human being could have the finger on the nuclear trigger to set off a world nuclear war. So then we move ahead into the late 20th century. We had AI with the possibility of sentient robots leading to our destruction. We have genetic engineering, which could produce the viruses that would lead to our destruction, or produce a new super being, a new super humanoid that would then decide, well, we don't need those old-fashioned humans. Let's get rid of them like we got rid of the Neanderthals. And again, Stephen Hawking worried about genetic engineering, and he said, unlike nuclear facilities that are large facilities that need a lot of money to produce them and are limited in number, genetic engineering labs you could do that in your basement. And now we could do it in the high school laboratories. So we got that. And then the latest threat is the internet and social media, with all kinds of conspiracy theories and leading to a post-truth society. Wonderful communication, wonderful source of information, but unless we get control of the internet's and dark web's ability to foment terrorism um, and terrible theories of conspiracy and all kinds of ideas. I mean, that is a threat to humans, and we've seen one example of the threat. That was the Rohingya expulsion out of Myanmar. Uh, Apparently, the news in Myanmar was mostly distributed through Facebook. And Facebook has got this AI system called user engagement. Well, what engages users as stories of mayhem and catastrophe and fighting and destruction and murders. And so that got all the publicity and led to the uh, extinction and driving out of this minority out of Myanmar. So we've seen how the internet and social media can cause great harm to our society.
Do you really think that fossil fuels have an effect on Earth? Because some people will argue that the Earth's been going through these temperature changes for centuries.
Well, those people are absolutely right. The Earth has been going through temperature changes for centuries. That doesn't mean that fossil fuels aren't contributing to the latest rise in temperature. And all you have to do is look at the data. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is the largest it's been in 1,000,000 years. We're looking at the highest temperatures we've seen in centuries. We're looking at the highest sea level temperatures and sea level rise that we've seen in temperatures, and all of the physics of the carbon dioxide is irrefutable. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere absorbs the radiation that is trying to escape Earth and sends half of it back. So, I mean, you can't argue with the scientific facts. Yes, we've had temperature swings, ups and downs for years. We've had ice ages and we've had warming periods, but our technology is now pushing us in the direction of warmer and warmer.
Do you think that we really have 100 years left, or could it be quicker?
I've most of the people I talk to think is that 100 years is optimistic, and the way that we've been behaving. Um, I mean, why start a war? It nobody wins. It leads to destruction. There are no winners. Uh, it's just who loses the least. I mean, is that a good reason to start a war? We have to start looking at the danger that we face. And again, this is the reason I wrote these two books. I've always fantasized, we're a tribal society. The tribalism is in our DNA. And it's been a beneficial trait that we have that has led to our success. Getting together as a tribe to make sure that the tribe is successful and prosperous and thrives and exists to go forward is the way humans survive. Well, that's great. And one of the things that in history we've seen is that as the tribes are threatened by a common enemy, they coalesce. They'll merge together with the threat of a common enemy to fight the common enemy. So I always fantasize that if aliens invaded the Earth, that the humans would all of a sudden, everybody would get together and act as the Earthling tribe to combat this threat to all of humans. Well, I thought the COVID pandemic might be such an alien. I guess it wasn't dangerous enough. But if we start understanding these threats of technology that really threaten all of us on Earth, not just North Americans or Asians, but every continent, that maybe that threat will get through this thick brain of all of ours, that will come together as the Earthling tribe and will work together to make Earth great again. That is my hope. That is what I preach in the books. There's a whole part at the end of 12 Years to AI Singularity that's called Make Earth Great Again. And that's the message, that the humans and the AI sentient agents have to join together to get us out of this potential for 100 years to extinction.
Which one of the five is the most important?
I think right now, because AI is just expanding so rapidly, I think AI is the most important right now. I think that's the one that we need to take care of. I think that's the one we can take care of. The solution is there. We just have to configure the software for every AI agent so that it has this happy history and also has something like a pleasure center. Imagine programming an AI robot, a sentient AI robot. So if it has this happy history, and if it has this set of rules that it is not, should not commit murder, it should not commit perjury, it should pay attention to the laws of the land. If it has those rules and it goes against those rules, then the pleasure center could start acting to make it uncomfortable. So its vision could blur. It could start, its audio system could start hearing static. Its balance could be impaired. Its sense of feel and touch could uh, get degraded so it fumbles things. We could create sentient robots that will have all the both the history and the programming so that it wants to live harmoniously and cooperatively in on Earth with humans. And we can do the same with LLMs. So it's just a matter of, doing it, but it has to be a worldwide movement. China, India, Europe all have AI systems. They all have to do that, not just those in North America or the US.
Well, those negative acts that you mentioned are exactly what humans do. And I wonder if the AI would ever realize that, even though it's doing the right things to get the pleasure center, humans don't follow those rules.
Yeah, and that goes to the happy history. Most humans with a happy history and a good relationship with family kind of follow those rules. It's the ones that have terrible upbringings and terrible lives that often end up being the mass shooters in schools. Uh, if you're happy with all your friends and family and happy in the schools, you don't go into the schools and shoot it up. So, I mean, yeah, we ought to do the same thing with humans, make sure they all have a happy history.
Well, your books focus on Gen Z. Why?
Because Gen Z is the generation that's got the most to lose. Uh, my generation is probably going to be gone before uh, the robot apocalypse. But Gen Z will be here. Gen Z will be here to see the Earth uh, decay from overheating. Uh, we've had the example of Greta Thunberg creating uh, a a movement of her peers for Fridays for Future to try to act against climate change. So I want to motivate those Gen Zers, and they don't seem to be all that interested in getting motivated. But uh, so I want to try to motivate them. That is not saying that I don't want to motivate other generations, but my protagonists all were naturally fit in to the story as Gen Z, and so that was what I was trying to do: get Gen Z to take the ball. They have the most to lose, and the book, 100 Years to Extinction, starts out with the promise. My three Gen Z protagonists, who are based on my grandkids, that's actually a wonderful use for grandkids. Uh, the other use, of course, is they come over to help grandma with her smartphone. But uh, I've got control of my own smartphone, so I use them for characters in my novels. But um, you know, uh, they in the book they realize there's a tragedy that starts the book out, and they are aware of Stephen Hawking's 100 Years to Extinction prediction, and they decide, hey, we got the most to lose. It's up to us. It's up to our generation to make sure that we don't end up with extinction. So that's why Gen Z.
Did Stephen Hawking's base his 100 years on the same five causes that you do?
Pretty much, yeah. And he certainly commented on genetic engineering. He certainly commented on AI and nuclear and fossil. So, yeah, I think he was pretty much looking at the whole uh, tyranny of technology in making his prediction. And the one of the perspectives I've had on this tyranny of technology and how the latest generation of technology is happening so fast is if we look at the technologies that have allowed us to be such wonderful inventors, allowed us to create all the wonderful art and the wonderful novels and the wonderful ideas that we've created. What technologies have done that? Well, start out 100,000 years ago. That's the first technology. We learned to speak. And then it took 100,000 years before the next major addition to the technology. We learned to write. We started engraving things on stone tablets. Then it took another 5,000 years before we learned how to print. But these things took enormous amount of time. So we had many, many generations that could learn how to adapt to the new technologies. But then the 20th century comes along and we get shortwave radio. So now we can communicate over the whole world. We got radio and television. And now look at the last 50 years, and we got this flood of new stuff. And we don't have generations to think about how to control it. We got one generation to think about how to control it. So we really got to get on the ball. And if we can think of this flood of technologies that is upon us, maybe that'll be the wake-up call, or maybe the 11-foot rise in sea level will be the wake-up call to get the Earthlings to come together as the Earthling tribe.
What percent chance do you give us to make it past 100 years?
Oh boy. I'm an optimist. So, I don't know, the realist in me thinks we're not going to make it. That the flood is too great, and our social and political systems are just awful. If we think about the tortoise and the hare is the technology and science racing ahead at breakneck speed. What's the tortoise? The tortoise is society and politics. Have we changed that much in 5,000 years? No. So are we going to make the change? Well, my only hope is that the sea level rise and these threats of genetic engineering and AI become such a conscious worldwide threat that gets us to start acting as the Earthling tribe. There's no question we got the ability. These are not insurmountable problems. This is a problem of just us deciding that to stop fighting with each other and to solve the problems. And they're soluble. So that's the optimist. The pessimist says, well, our history says, no, we're not going to do it. But
Well,
let's hope.
isn't there a doomsday clock out there, and we're at 11:59 and 30 seconds or something?
Yeah, I think it may be 90 seconds, but I forgot. I do talk about that's one of the chapters in the first novel is the Doomsday Clock. This was if you've seen the movie about the development of the atomic bomb, the
Oppenheimer?
developer, Oppenheimer, the development of the atomic bomb when the Trinity test goes off successfully in the desert. He says, now I am doom. I can't remember the quote. I'm death of the creator of our doom. So, yeah, these technologies are, and the people who've developed them see the danger, but our ability as humans, we've kind of done a decent job controlling nuclear weapons with the idea of mutually assured destruction. That now several countries have got the delivery systems and enough weapons to completely destroy the other. So to some extent, we've got some control, but a lunatic may say, well, I'm going down. I'm going to take everyone with me. But so that could
Well,
happen.
if the seas rise 11 feet, how is that going to wipe out everything?
It won't, but it'll create so much chaos in terms of worldwide food shortages and community displacements and death and destruction that's the kind of thing that leads to war and could lead to nuclear war. So, yeah, we can survive it. But again, it goes back to the tortoise of science, of society and politics. Is the tortoise ever going to race ahead and figure out how to save us? Let's hope.
Would we be better off without all this tech?
I think inevitably we're the source of our own destruction. We are so bright that we got to keep figuring this stuff out. And once the cat is out of the bag, once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back. We just have to figure out how to stop being a tortoise. We've got to figure out how to. I mean, AI is wonderful. AI can help us solve the problems of the world. If we make AI our friend and make sure that AI wants to work with us, and AI, in my novel, AI sentient robots become citizens of the world, of the United States, of other countries. If we make AI our friend, we've just harnessed an enormous resource to to make Earth great again, to give us all the resources we need to finish off the development of nuclear fusion, which would be a limitless, pollution-free supplier of electricity and energy, and uh, we could do all of that. It's all there for the taking. We just have to be smart enough to take it.
Do you think it's possible that we have done this to ourselves more than once in the past, and things like the pyramids are just leftover remnants?
I'm sure we've done it to ourselves many, many times in the past. Yeah, whether we've had all of the whole civilization wiped out, no, I don't think. We weren't smart enough to have the technology to wipe out everybody, but we do now. So now is the time where we have to recognize extinction is a potential outcome. We got to get together. We've got to speed up that tortoise to solve the problems, and they are soluble. They're not earth-shaking, complicated problems. It's just our will to do it.
Do you really think that the average person can have an input in on this? Because it's generally the leaders making all the decisions.
Well, but we've also had movements. We've got the No Kings movement. And that, yeah, there are leaders who help us organize that, but that puts pressure and sends messages and does make some impact on our politics. We had the anti-Vietnam movement, where people were out marching and demonstrating. We had the civil rights movement. We need a Make Earth Great Again movement. We need to create that worldwide movement. One possible way that we can bring that to fruition is by gathering together a lot of these organizations that are devoted to individual threats. Greenpeace, devoted to climate. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist, which started out basically devoted to, and they're the originators of the doomsday clock. They started out just to worry about nuclear technology. Well, they're now broadening their message to worry about other of the modern technologies that threaten our existence. If we can get the organizations to start cooperating and maybe adopting Make Earth Great Again as their model, as their motto, and cooperating with other organizations, yeah, we can do this. And that's what individuals can do. They can get out and march, and they can join the organizations, and they can write to the head of the organization to try to get them to cooperate across all the organizations against all the threats, to look at that one great threat that could destroy us all.
Where should people go to find out more about your books?
I have a website. It is called 100yearstoextinction.com. That is 100yearstoextinction.com. There's lots of information. There's information on organizations that people can join. There's links to the books. The original first book is now out in audiobook form, and the sequel will be out by next month. I just finished reviewing the audio for that book. And then the videos that are fun to watch are on 100 Years to Extinction -1 on YouTube. And then I've got Instagram at 100 Years to Extinction, and X as well. So lots of places, if you put in the 100 Years to Extinction, you can find my messages.
Do you have a contact form on your website for people who may want to ask you questions?
Yeah, I'm kind of poor at at reviewing and answering. better off using my maybe my LinkedIn and messaging on LinkedIn. I do answer those messages. And I'm on 100 Years to Extinction on LinkedIn as well.
Before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
The last positive message is the threats to our existence are real, but the solutions are not rocket science. The solutions are well within our grasp. It will only take us to start cooperating as members of the Earthling tribe, to join hands with the rest of the tribes around the world as the Earthling tribe, to solve the problems to make Earth great again.
Dr. Solomon, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for having me. You asked lots of great probing questions.
Thank you. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.